The Pistons are the basketball champions of the world.
Detroit, it's time. It's playoff time, Detroit. Let's go to work.
Shout out Detroit. I got to buff up, you know what I'm saying? Detroit, I'm all the way in. Detroit Pistons, I'm all the way in. Let's do it.
Hello, Pistons fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Buffs On podcast. Just the two of us today. We wanted to get a podcast out this week. Me and Gabe, no Coni, no Amit, but we will keep on fighting. This is fresh off a Pistons loss to the Houston Rockets in the most disappointing of fashion. I don't know. I didn't know it was a harder fashion to lose in other than after that game against Charlotte, but still a lot of positives to take away from this week as a whole, and this season as a whole so far. But I want to dive right into this game against Houston Rockets. The Pistons led for a good part of it, went down in the third, but I thought showed some great resiliency to fight back, and that was a big takeaway I had, how they responded after going down. It looked like they were out, but Hardaway hit a huge three, Beasley hit a huge three, and man, what a player Cade was today. Let's unpack this before hitting a few of our points over this week. Gabe, Pistons lost to the Rockets by 2 points, 101 99, an ugly affair for the most part, but
yeah,
lost
it
on
was
the board.
ugly.
What do you think?
That's why we have the vets. You know, those are the guys that brought us back into this game. We had a really rough start, them crashing the glass. Spoiler, that's also how it ended. Them just crashing the glass and us not having the size or the mental toughness, I guess, to box out enough. Some unlucky bounces, you gotta say, but that's just what happens when the other team puts in more effort. You know, this whole week, only having those two losses to put on the books, even though it hurts, especially losing to the Rockets after Jalen Green had that monster dunk. Cade was the best player on the floor, and I think he was the best player on the floor every game this week, except maybe one Jaden Ivey explosion. Was that against the Lakers? But yeah, I mean, we played it tight. Some boneheaded mistakes once again, a lot of turnovers once again. I think I told this to Coni yesterday. We were playing League, that a lot of the mistakes are just because we're bad and we're young and they can be learned. Like, we're playing better basketball than the other team for the most part, except the possessions where we don't, which I think can be fixed. It's not like a player limitation thing. And I think that was pretty clear this game. Yeah.
You think so? You said we're not good enough. You think we're less skilled than these teams, or it's player limitations? Like, what do you mean?
No, I think it's not player limitation.
It's
I
not.
think it's new coach, young players. I mean, this is the thing we expected last year, right? To add some vets, to go through growing pains, and to learn how to win games. Against the Hawks, we did it after not doing it against the Hornets. We closed out the Lakers. Nets didn't really need closing out, but I think two of these 4 games, we closed out 2 of them, even though we almost threw away the Hawks game, and we did not close out in these 2 losses, which is, you know, they're preventable mistakes. Offensive rebounds, you can have different personnel in, you can box out. So I think it's just a learning thing, and JB said after the Hawks game that it came in a win. That learning moment came in a win. Tonight it came in a loss, but even though it wasn't a fun to watch game, it was a good game at the end.
Yeah, you say Cade was the best player on the court. He finished this night with 26 points, 8 rebounds, and 9 assists, ending his consecutive triple-double streak, but nearly made that 4 games in a row. He shot really good from everywhere, and 4 turnovers. Right now, you're taking that for Cade. I think lower than usual for him. And overall, you know, it was a chippy game. A lot of turnovers in the game. It was nice that Cade stayed relatively low. Isaiah Stewart filling in for the injured Jalen Duren was pretty monstrous. I thought a nice 16 and 8 and got it done on defense. Beasley did his thing. He was really the only vet that had it going, unfortunately. Man, what a stinker from Jaden Ivey that was.
Yeah.
We can get more into these debate topics, but just want to touch on this game against Houston, this really tough loss. The game before, obviously, won against Atlanta. Before that was the tough 1-point loss to the Charlotte Hornets. And the 2 earlier games in the week were against the Lakers and the Nets, both victories. So a 3-2 week for the Detroit Pistons,
which I think I predicted last schedule breakdown.
which I think I predicted as well. I'm in Connie lacking in the guessing department, but a really solid week for the Pistons overall. If you're looking at it, if you're zooming out, yeah, they honestly maybe could be 5-0, like Gabe and I were just saying before recording this, but 3-2 week. They sit on 4-7 on the season, and I want to pose this question. Initially, want to do it as a 10-game thing, but after 11 games, the Pistons are 4-7. On a scale of 1 to 10, how satisfied are you?
Yeah,
Oh,
sure.
He comes in hot.
This guy's got audio now. It's the disease of more. I thought I would be before the season. If you told me 4-7, I'd be like, yeah, I'm very happy with that. But I think this team is better than 4-7. Like, I think they could be better than 4-7. I think they are a better team than 4-7, even though they aren't like a great team. I would say I'm a 6.5 out of 10 satisfied with our current record, just because, like you said, it could easily be 6-5 right now, and we could be the 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. It's just like the tough losses keeping me down, but I guess that's recency bias. But overall, you can't really be too upset with what the Pistons are doing this year so far.
Yeah, we're trying to like just zoom out and not have recency bias with this tough loss, but I want to give you a little platform because you were connecting to audio, Connie. I'm assuming you watched the Pistons Rockets today. Any takeaways from you just from that game specifically?
You guys touch on the Pistons are. I said this in the chat too. The Pistons are like the best rebounding team in the NBA that can't secure a loose ball down the stretch. I mean, just offensive rebound. The same thing happened against the Hornets. It happens in every close game. It seems like we get into. It's these like offensive rebounds, and they have 3-4 possessions in one possession. And eventually an NBA team's going to put a bucket in. I thought that was pretty disappointing.
Denominator is no Jalen Duren to end both of those games.
That's true. He and Noah Star Thompson. The two guys that are rebounders in every sense of the word. But like the thing is, like this team, even without Jalen Duren, they grab rebounds for the other minutes, and they do it all right on the offensive end. It was a tough game. It was a lot of missed shots. But hey, and nobody. I'll be forgetting about Cade Cunningham setting himself up to get absolutely yammed on. By doing the James Harden against Sadiq Bey, where you get the ball poked away and you slowly jog towards it in the backcourt while the other guy goes and runs for it. You guys remember that play of James Harden and Sadiq?
I think this was a little more egregious.
I don't know. In the moment, it looked pretty similar to me, but
you did get destroyed too. But to confirm, Connie, in terms of a satisfaction of the season so far, you're at a 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Pretty satisfied.
Gabe,
same question posed to you. Where are you at on that scale?
I would go a little higher. The 2 losses really hurt. But overall, I'd go with like a 7.5 because I would like to see a little more from the vets. But really, I mean, when did we have our 4th win last year?
30. I think it was January 15th was the stat.
Just to see progression is really the thing I love the most. And actually, I'm gonna pull this quote out now. It seems like a good time. After we beat the Hawks, Bickerstaff in his post-game interview on a question about Cade, he said, after being around him, and I don't say this lightly, he's the guy. He has the potential to be a generational superstar. So those words, those don't come lightly, and just to have your coach after like 2 weeks say you're the guy, and him being the best player on the court basically every game we've played this year, except for a few early season stinkers. I think it's really to see his play, to see Ivy's play, to see a competent coach and GM. We're saying 8. Last year I'd be at a 10 out of 10 right now. But I'll go
10 out of 10.
Yeah, if I was told this, like we'd have a good coach,
okay,
we'd have
okay.
all this, all that. But yeah, so I'll go 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I think I'm up there, and honestly, after like hearing your reasoning, I might go higher. I think I'll say 8.5. I say this because when you zoom out at it, we had the most difficult schedule in the NBA to start the season. Um, those first 5 or 6 games were brutal. And on top of that, we lost 2 games in very, very close fashion and in really agonizing fashion. If one ball bounces our way, we have a different record right now. And that mixed in with the difficult start to the season makes me a lot more optimistic right now. And then we're playing these teams that I would say are a similar playing field to us. And we're competing with them. And I think that's just really good to see. And we're not falling down by 20 points to start the game and never coming back. I think every single game we played in, the New York Knicks aside, we have competed in every single game very much until the end. Maybe one other outlier is Cleveland, but man, Cleveland might go 82-0. But we've been very competitive in every single game so far. Like you said, Gabe, the general play of Cade and Ivy has been sensational. Cade is getting better by the game, it seems like right now, and now he's really forming his game. He's been excellent. I'm at about a 9 on just the Cade scale right now. But that's kind of a segue into my next question. Connie, I'll start with you. We know Cade and Ivy are the center of this team. If this team goes anywhere, makes any noise, it's going to be from Cade and Ivy. So from this Cade Ivy backcourt, Ivy now starting this year, how happy have you been about their partnership? Again, 1 to 10, 1 being the least, 10 being the most excited.
I go 8.
All right,
I go
Doctor.
8 because we're seeing progression. You can't really be that upset about it. I mean, Jaden Ivey, the progression from last year, just him not being under the boot of Monty Williams, you really can't be upset about really anything he's doing. Even though today was a stinker, he is still playing better in all fronts. And Cade Cunningham, also, improving, doing a lot of the same stuff. Has a little bit more game to him. The only if Cade Cunningham wasn't a machine that created turnovers, that would be a 10 out of 10. But he is averaging damn near 5 turnovers a game, which is insanely high. And you just that's the difference, really. If this team wasn't so insanely turnover prone, I think I heard Gabe say in the beginning of the pod when I was messing with my audio, they play better than the other teams, except when they don't. The possessions that they don't, the possessions where they just give it away and give the other teams the easiest buckets you could possibly have. And Cade Cunningham's a big part of that. But the possessions that they don't turn it over, Cade and Ivy are looking like some of the best guards in the game.
Yeah, I do fully agree with you. I thought today was arguably the most complete performance we've seen from Cade. Despite Ivy struggling, but I think I'm up there pretty high with you, Connie. I think I'm at about a 9. I think we see that dynamic between the two of them, and we've seen in wins how the two of them can work together to just pretty much single-handedly carry this team and start everything. I love the way Bickerstaff is using the two of them. I love that there was some interesting, cool stat I saw. Greg Kelser mentioned it yesterday or the other game as well that they've been Cade and Ivy have been on the court 99% of the time, or at least one of them on the court. And I think that 1% is garbage time when Marcus Sasser was out there. But the fact that they're always on the court, they're staggering. It's exciting to see. You think it's pretty basic coaching, but you just got to be so happy about Cade and Ivy or one of them being on the court 99% of the time. It means you always have some sort of threat. I'd love to see Ivy be more determined to get to the rim. I think he stops too soon for a little midi too often. He's just too quick to not be determined to get to the rim.
I disagree with you on that one.
Why?
I think Ivy forces his way to the hoop quite a lot. And the fact of the matter is, you're not going to get a layup every time. If anything, I'd like to see a little more nuance in the game. If I was going to nitpick with Ivy, which I like his improvements so far this year, I like that he gets to the hoop. I like that he missed a lot of shots today, but he had one at least. He's getting to a pull-up midi that's closer than his pull-up midi was last year. It's sort of in that 10-foot range where he kind of just drives in and then just pops up right away. And nobody has the react. It's just not possible to react to that, to actually get to it. So he just gets that shot off. But if I was going to nitpick, it's that when he decides to go to the hoop and he like gets that first step on the guy and he drives to the hoop, it is just going to be that. Right? Like we saw it a lot this game where he would like sort of get the first step on the guy and he's just going to keep going until he gets stopped or he gets to the rim. I'd love a little more nuance in the game, which will just come with reps, like good reps. The reps last year were not good reps. These are good reps, and you learn from good reps and you build on top of it. So whether it is passing out to the corner or, swinging it around again and then just keeping the offense moving, there's still improvement that can happen in Ivy's game big time beyond just like making more shots. I like.
He's also 10th in the league in turnovers, Jaden Ivey. And he does some stupid.
Where's Cade? Is Cade first?
Cade is second. James Harden is first.
Wow.
But
he's also he's like marginally behind LaMelo Ball, Trae Young, even John Morant, like guys who have similar play styles, similar
like
usage
even
rates.
Fox, Jokic, they're above 4 as well. So turnovers are up, I think, for like lead ball handlers, but still, that's the number one thing. Cade still, he like gets in the air and they'll just like throw it into the middle where it's always a steal. That happens pretty often. And now also just a little quick trivia, Connie. I was looking at some stats. What rookie do you think leads all rookies in minutes per game?
What rookie leads rookies in
minutes per game? It's a guy I have never even heard of.
Yves Missy?
No, Carlton Carrington.
Oh, Bub Carrington.
No. Oh, that's Bub?
That's Bub Carrington, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I have heard of him.
You ever? Yeah, it doesn't go by Carlton.
Aside, do you have any like plays that stand out as Vali goes to get his charger from the past week? Anything you really like thought was really bad or really good?
Like specific plays?
Yeah, do you remember anything?
Something that this is not a play, but just something that I wanted to bring up is that Tobias Harris is bringing back the traditional power forward.
Yeah.
Which was a position that was lost to just becoming a wing and a shooter and a defender, and it's just like sort of another small forward, sort of. The OG's power forwards were mid-range operators, back down dudes that could do a little bit away from the basket, but really like mid-range guys. And Tobias Harris is fully bringing that back. Every bucket, occasional three-pointer, and he did hit a couple against he hit a lot against the Hawks. Yeah. He had 5 against the Hawks, but otherwise, just back down mid-range play. I've like tough, real big rebounder. Tobias Harris is a better defender than I remember him being. Are you noticing that?
He was a bad rebounder as well.
Yeah, he has got
like 0 or 1 rebounds.
And now there's games where he's got like 14, and I think he's playing better defense. Like he's very handsy, he's very strong. Shout out to Tobias Harris for bringing back the power forward position. Might be the only true power forward in the league right now.
That's pretty dang true.
Him and Giannis, maybe.
Did you talk about your 1 through 10, Cade and Ivy?
No, but I'll do quickly. I guess I'll do like a 9, just because I did not expect Ivy to be this good. Cade, I kind of was expecting that he is that guy. Cade turnovers and there's like 3 plays this game. One of them was that dunk by Jabari where they wiped it out because it was after the clock, where Cade's just sleeping on defense. And he plays too far away from shooters, even though Brooks is not really a shooter, but I won't get into that. So yeah, I'll go a 9 out of 10 for my Cade Ivy excitement.
Can we, if you were talking defense, can we talk defense a little bit?
Platform's all yours.
Is this Pistons team a good defensive team? Like last year, they were atrocious. Like multiple guys looked lost. The rotations were awful, and like I still feel like they're not that good at defense. But then teams don't score that much. Like they don't put up points against the Pistons. We're 13th right now. There's a lot of teams tied.
I do think that we give up a lot of open threes, and teams are just missing right now. That's really evident against the Hawks especially, but again, today as well again. Happens a lot, I think. And against the Hornets, my God. They're just like missing shots. So maybe that'll change. Our rim defense, though, we collapsed really hard.
Yeah, I think it might be intentional. Who did that? The Bucks did that when they were good under Budenholzer. No, they had a bit of a different. What are you guys chuckling about?
Nothing.
But the Bucks did that where they would let threes happen, but would just shut off the water on anything in the paint. Now we don't have Brook Lopez and Giannis Antetokounmpo, but it seems like the Pistons are trying to do a similar thing where they just crush stuff down low and some threes to like mid shooters like Dylan Brooks are more open, and that can burn you sometimes. But over the long run, I think is a pretty good defensive strategy. You can't deny the improvement. Like they're clearly a far better defensive team now, and guys look a whole lot less lost. And you got to credit JB for that a little bit. You guys feel like the defense is better?
Yeah, thank you for touching on it. The defense has definitely looked much better. I definitely know more rim protection and more like cohesiveness as a defensive unit. And these guys you brought in, I have two questions left for you guys. It'll kind of tie into it, but these guys we brought in aren't known to be good defenders, but what they are experienced players. And experienced players at least know where to be, although they may not have those defensive capabilities. Like they know where to be. They know how to close out a shooter. They know how to rotate, and I think that can't be understated. But specifically, Duran's done a good job of protecting the rim. Isaiah Stewart is an animal on defense, man, an animal. But I do want to give a special shout out to our backcourt and specifically Cade, although he does fall asleep sometimes.
One on one, yeah.
I think Cade has become an excellent, like you say, kind of one-on-one, no, but like help side defender, and overall, like he seems like he's become a much better defender. And if that block today ended up like coming up, like leading to us winning the game against Şengün he had, man, that would have been one heck of a storyline in back-to-back games. But
I was gonna say he is a pretty good one-on-one defender. His strength, his size, his wingspan, I think he does a pretty good job when he's just straight matched up. And he has to burden a lot of offense, so it's less so. But also the guys that we brought in are better defenders than I thought. Malik Beasley,
he's tough.
He's kind of a dog.
He gets in there. He gets in it with other people too, which I really like. He brings an energy we've been missing.
And I said this to Gabe while you were gone, but Tobias Harris is a better defender than I remember. He really bodies up. He gets his hands in there. And I saw the stat today in the game. Tim Hardaway Jr. Through this early season is the lead leaguer in charges drawn.
Really?
Like even the guys that are not defenders, they're doing something.
Oh, that's good stuff. I had no idea about that. Fun fact about Tim Hardaway: he had 4 consecutive games without a single rebound. I feel like that's pretty crazy. Gabe, anything about the defense, or can we move into this next question? Which
Stu and Cade's blocks have been nice, fun to watch.
Penultimate question I have for you guys. Again, this will be on a 1 through 10 scale, like the first two. Up until now, how have the new Pistons acquisitions been?
I guess I'll start this one off. Why not? Tobias Harris, ups and downs, 3-point shooting a little bit left there to be desired. Malik Beasley goes really cold at times. Overall, I would say a 7 out of 10. We get wins. Actually, I'll do 8 out of 10 because the other part of that quote from JB is that he said Tobias is the big brother to all these guys. He makes sure they're in check on and off the court. And that's just what you need from vets. They're good on the court. We're winning more games, better D, more like composure, I guess, and off the court as well. It's just nice to have actual players. So I would say an 8 out of 10.
Coni, I'll shift it over to you.
We're talking about NBA wide or relative to the Detroit Pistons?
Relative to the Pistons.
Relative to the Pistons, I'm gonna go a 9 out of 10 because not only what they're bringing, but what they're taking away. And what they're taking away is the guys that are not playing anymore. The guys that were on this team. Malik Beasley is so much better because he's replacing minutes that were played by Killian Hayes. Tobias Harris is so much better because he's replacing minutes that were being played by Tosan and Stanley Umude. and you know, guys that couldn't really hoop or absolutely can hoop, but maybe not at the NBA level. So yeah, I'm happy with the additions. It's like the first time that here's a thought for you guys. Since we've been watching the Pistons since about 2011, are these the best offseason moves that we've seen?
Offseason?
I'm gonna say signings. I'm gonna say signings because the Blake Griffin trade probably brought us our best player that we've seen. But signings. There's not much to compete against, you know. Like
that's what I'm thinking. I think you're right on the spot. I think it has to be, right?
yeah. I'm trying to compare it against like.
I think it is. I mean, so that or Wayne Ellington.
Man, that's insane. Yeah, the bar must be really low, but I do think so. And Gabe mentioned it earlier, like these are moves we probably should have made a year ago, right? Like adding this, veteran talent around this super young team. However, that's the the cards we were dealt. So I'm not upset about it, but I think hands down it's got to be, right? It's not like we paid anyone else over the summer to come here, right? Jeremy Grant was a huge acquisition.
Yeah.
But there were so many different people who came in and out that summer that Jeremy Grant is hands down the best player we signed, and a lot of that was him taking personal leaps, but I think it certainly was this season. All right. Last question I have for you guys then. Last discussion. On a scale of 1 to 10, 11 games in, you've seen some basketball. How confident are you in this young core?
I'm gonna take it from two ways. In one way, my 10 out of 10 will be making the play-in tournament, and another way is having a path to championship success. And I'm a 10 out of 10 on both of those scales. The East sucks. We're making I think we're gonna, like you said, Connie, I think we're a good team. I think we're actually a good team that just makes stupid mistakes. And as the season goes on, I think we're just gonna win some more games. And then long-term success, I just, every time I see Cade play and just like he's kind of removed the mid-range from his game, which I'd like to see a little bit more. But like that, I think you mentioned it. No one can stay in front of Cade. Nobody. Dyson Daniels, shout out to him. 3.3 steals a game is a monster in defense, and even then, Cade hit the left-hand hook over him to win the game. So I'm really confident. I would love to see Asar back. Asar on the court, I think would really make this team click. Same with Clintman, and I know you guys will, he hasn't played, he's a rookie, but just like the skill set he has off the bench, I would love to have on the court at times. So I'm super high right now.
Connie, where are you in terms of your confidence in the young core? And I know I didn't ask this to you, Gabe, but has it differed as compared to, or how much has it differed as compared to a similar point last season?
I mean, it's definitely higher than it was at a similar point last season because, they were at that point, 2-9, starting the skid. Young core, I'll put myself at an 8. I think there's some good guys there. I'm a bit of it's just hard not to be a little bit pessimistic about the Pistons. Always looking forward because of what we've seen, but I think there's some guys that could really stick here. I think there's still pieces away, but some guys that'll grow into really, really great players. Good players.
Yeah, I do think we're also still a few pieces away, but I really agree with both of you. It's incredible adding some offseason talent will do for the young guys, just having those competent players around them. I do want to note that after 11 games, the Pistons have better records than the Hawks, the Wizards, the Raptors, the Bucks, the 76ers, the Blazers, the Pelicans, and the Jazz. We're not listing off one team, guys,
And we are in the 10th seed.
And we are in the 10th seed, which would, have us Pistons fans absolutely ecstatic. If we could get a play-in game, in downtown Detroit, man, it will be rocking.
The scary thing about that is that Mocha, you also want to talk? The scary thing is that the Bucks and the Sixers are behind us, and once those guys get back, you kind of just expect those teams to pass us.
I think
But I mean, the Bulls and the Nets are ahead of us, so 2 teams in, 2 teams out, we stay. So there's a path.
I mean, if we are assuming that this team is not bad, this Pistons
Yeah.
team is pretty good. Like, it's reasonable. Like, the bottom of the East is looking pretty bottom.
and I wish we had beat the Hornets, but like those are the teams we've been beating. Like we're proving we're not bottom feeders anymore. We're not quite bottom feeders. We're a level above now, which I think it's just been so refreshing to see overall.
For sure.
All right, then. Anything you'd like to touch on, Connie, Gabe, in the closing moments of this pod before we look ahead to next week?
No, I think we hit it.
The Stu block on LeBron was amazing, and then
Which one?
where sorry, there's too many to choose from. It's the one where he put him on the ground and then stepped
Or
over.
they called the goaltend and then
did not
overturned
call a
it.
touchdown, luckily, yeah. Of course, the Cade block game winner. If you haven't watched that, go back and watch that.
What's been the best block of the year?
I think honestly,
Young.
it was the. I know he landed on the baseline right afterwards, but I thought it was the block today because
I think so too.
I mean, or the game-winning block. But if we're just talking about like aesthetic of the block, the game-winning block, Okongwu was still like taking the layup off of the ground. Sengun was like at the rim, about to dunk it. K just comes up there like LeBron, and just glasses that shit. I wish he would have let it bounce, put his feet in bounds. But hey, it was a great block, and he has some real great help side instincts, block instincts that are really showing.
Yeah, fully agree. I think I'm taking the game winning block just because how clean it was. But yeah, a 3-2 week for the Pistons as we look ahead to next week. Me and Gabe were spot on the money last time out with a 3-2 prediction in the 5 games. Just 4 games this week. The Pistons will host the Miami Heat in the NBA Cup before going to Milwaukee and then having another cup game against the Toronto Raptors and then the Washington Wizards. Guys, I'm licking my lips at this schedule. I'm not gonna lie. Two tests. I think the Heat will be a good test to see where we're at. They're a team that gets it done. But hey, cup game in Detroit, you know that crowd's gonna be rocking. Especially when about 15 of you guys are gonna be representing this team.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll be screaming. Then against the Bucks will be an interesting one just because they do have the talent and are expected to be that good. And then the Raptors and the Wizards, man, that's anybody's game. I'm seeing right now the Wizards are 2-5. Why have they not played? That's crazy. I'm excited to see Alex Sarr. I am calling 3 wins and 1 loss this week, guys.
Oh,
I take it back. 4-0 this week.
God damn it! I wanted to be the guy that was unrealistically optimistic and say 4-0. Jimmy Butler out versus the Heat. That's the one. That's the one that I think is up in the air. The Bucks game, the day before the Bucks game, they're playing it's the second half of a back-to-back, and they're playing their NBA Cup game right before.
Exact same thing with us.
Yeah, but this Bucks team is old, is the thing. They're an old team. Dame shows up about once a week, and I'm thinking they play their guys. They go hard for the tournament game and let off the pedal for the Pistons game. Raptors and Wizards, if we're saying that we're not bottom feeders, those should be dubs. No Scotty Barnes on the Raptors. The Wizards are the Wizards. I mean, you can say the Pistons are the Pistons, but yeah, I'm gonna go. I was down last week. I went too low, so I'm gonna go 4-0 this week. Why not?
I got a quick question with the in-season tournament. They count towards regular season, yes. And then what does the winner get?
Money.
Just money. There's no playoff incentive. I just had to make sure.
No.
Gabe?
I'm in the same boat with the optimism. He'd have lost 3 in a row. Bucks are kind of like the Hawks of last year. Remember, every guard would just have a huge game against them.
Yeah, because they can't guard. They have
Yes,
nobody that plays defense.
that's why I'd like to see Cade and Ivy kind of destroy the Bucks. And like you said, Raptors, Wizards. I low-key think we might lose to the Wizards just because it's one of those things where we don't try and they jack up threes. Um, I'm gonna go 3-1 as well. We were both right last week. One of us would be wrong here, but we're gonna be at the Heat game, so I hope that's a win. And then I think Giannis is just gonna have his way with our team when we play the Bucks. That's how it usually goes.
Yeah.
We don't like to guard threes, so I think Dame might have a nice night. If it's anything like that preseason game where he had what, like 15 in the first quarter,
Yeah.
5 threes, something like that.
All right, a lot of optimism into this week. Hopefully the opposite won't come out. But anything else you guys want to add before we get on out of here?
I can throw another real quick question. What player do you think will have the highest scoring number for us? Like
a
player and
single
point.
game?
Yes. Single game over this week.
This week.
Oh, over this week.
Cade 34.
Let me get a big Jaden Ivey game. I think against the Bucks, they do have guarding problems, but their focus, I think, will be on Cade Cunningham. Give me a big Ivy bounce back. Do I have to say the number too?
Give us one.
50.
50.
Ivy 50 piece. Why not?
I'll go to the box. I'll say Tim Hardaway Jr. dropping 30 against the Raptors, knocking down 9 threes, something like that.
Wow, we are wildly too optimistic. The last time we got this optimistic, the Pistons were 2-1 in the beginning of last season, and we saw how it went. But can I close this one out, Vali?
Oh, wait. Happy birthday, Amit. Pistons got
happy
the
birthday,
oh, yeah.
Amit. Listening, wish Amit a happy birthday. He's not
know.
on the pod as much anymore because he's a very busy man, but he still runs all our stuff. He still does everything behind the scenes. The man is a workhorse. The man is an animal. Happy birthday, Amit.
Making the magic happen behind the screen.
Behind the screen. And we'll all be behind the screen except for you guys who will be at the game watching the Pistons in the NBA Cup. So throw those buffs on, Detroit. The future is bright.